p.m. in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe television with me. For me, I'm Sean Sander. Accusations and counter-accusations rob Cameroon's socio-political landscape, with the Bishop of Bafoussam, His Lordship Lonsi Paul, accusing Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration of hypocritism. He condemns his outing, describing it as hypocritical. This follows the frequent use of biblical verses by Cameroon's Territorial Administration Minister when addressing his people. The Bishop also was not okay with the minister in his call for men of God to concentrate on the pulpit. We tell you this and other interesting stories in this edition of the news. Plus, the security situation in the Anglophone Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon is worsening with attacks. As of today, Monday, the attack on a drinking spot in Bambili in the Mezam of the Northwest region saw several persons wounded. In a similar attack, at least 2 other persons got wounded today in Mile 16 in Buea, that's in the Southwest region. We're glad you're joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe television. Ladies and gentlemen, you made the right choice to be informed by Equinoxe. Now, we're starting on human interest to save our residents of Buea Plage that are talking about insecurity rate that is taking place in their area. They say that a raid on Saturday in their area left the locality touched. The joint operation involving police, gendarmerie, and military personnel was launched in the early hours of the day and lasted till midday, leaving an impressive impact on the community. The people had long time complained about repeated attacks from men and women of the underworld. We have details with Sadiq Chakuchu.
2 days after the security riot that was established in Buea Plage, residents still remember the abstract awakening of last Saturday. Launched in the early hours of the morning, the joint operation involving police, gendarmerie and military personnel isolated the neighborhood until midday. Several residents we met today still have memories of what happened.
Mes enfants étant éveillés,
my children being home, they asked the police officers why they were here. They responded that they were here for an inspection.
Ils sont là pour une patrouille mixte pour fouiller les maisons et contrôler les factures.
They wanted to check the electrical appliances and get the bills. They weren't there to cause any trouble.
Et ils nous ont demandé si nous pouvions les présenter les factures de tout ce que nous avions dans notre domicile.
While residents believe the operation primarily targeted household appliance bills, commercial motorcycle drivers feel they were the first target. They denounce what they consider to be abuses against them.
Nous n'avons rien contre le contrôle. Nous les aidons même.
We have nothing against inspections. On the contrary, they help us. However, we have the impression that the police are primarily targeting motorcycle taxi drivers. If you have your motorcycle at home, they come and ask for your papers. If you show them the bill, they'll tell you it's stolen. Some residents say they welcome the operation in the context of insecurity that prevails in the Buea Plage neighborhood.
La situation sécuritaire dans notre...
The insecurity situation in this neighborhood is very tensed. We are not very safe. So with this patrol, we at least can feel safer.
En période de fête comme nous y sommes, comme nous approchons.
While the neighborhood has returned to normal after the operation, residents' worries still remain. Dilapidated roads, insecurity, and other difficulties continue to weigh on their daily life.
Yes, we go to the political security challenges faced by the nation Cameroon and the position of the pulpit, that's the church. Now, the president of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, His Grace Andrew Kiar, has given kidnappers of Reverend Father John Berinu until November the 28th, 2025 to release him, else the church, that is the Catholic Church, will march to the separatist camps. Meanwhile, Pope Francis worries over the kidnappings and torture of prelates in Cameroon, and the Bishop of Kumbo sends a letter to address or a letter of distress to the Christians and the public authorities on the devastating effects of the Anglophone crisis on the people of the troubled Northwest and Southwest regions. A roundup of all these outings with Staff Lady Annabella.
The Catholic Church in the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province has been bleeding from the ongoing war in the northwest and southwest regions. Recently, 6 priests and a lay faithful were kidnapped in Baba 1 by separatist fighters. But for one, Reverend Father John Berry is still in the hands of the captors. All attempts by the President of the National Episcopal Conference to assure his release have been futile. Surpassed, His Grace Andrew Nkea has given the kidnappers until Friday, November to set free Father John Berry. Failure to do so, all Catholic schools and churches in the Ndobdineri will be closed down. And also, all priests, religious and lay faithful of the Archdiocese of Bamenda will march to Baba 1, where the priest is being kept captive. Archbishop Andrew Nkea called on the powers that be to make concrete moves at ending the crisis which is causing acute suffering to the people of the northwest and southwest regions. Meantime, the bishop of the Kumbu Diocese sends out a cry of distress in a pastoral letter as Christians kickstart the period of Advent. His Lordship George Nkwo says the prolonged conflict in the northwest and southwest regions has deeply wounded hearts and shattered communities in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon, wounds which can only be healed by sincere justice and reconciliation. Reconciliation which without justice is a fragile illusion. Bishop George Nkwo in the pastoral letter adds that the just ended presidential election came with a drop of salt in the deep wounds of many Cameroonians, especially those in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Marred with vote manipulation and fraud, the election, he said, shaken the citizens' trust in institutions which were meant to safeguard truth and justice. The Bishop of Kumbu, which is one of the red zones in the northwest region, calls on his flock to stand for truth at all times despite the numerous frustrations, and must promote reconciliation and peace, noting that peace is not only the absence of bullets or gunshots but the presence of justice for all. And in the midst of this quagmire of kidnappings and war in the northwest and southwest regions, Pope Leo XIV, the Holy Father, is saddened and expressed deep concerns and pain over the abduction of religious and Christians in Cameroon and in neighboring Nigeria. The Vatican feels the sorrow of the families of the kidnapped victims. Pope Leo XIV urges the local authorities to ensure the release of those members of the body of Christ who have been kidnapped in Cameroon. The Holy Father, during the Angelus prayer on the feast of Christ the King, insists that schools and churches must remain a place of safety and hope for the lay faithful and consecrated men and women, even in periods of war and conflicts.
And that's how preoccupying and disturbing the situation in Cameroon is, preoccupying even to Pope Leo the 14th. And you also got the outing of the head of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, His Grace Andrew Nkea, and His Lordship Bishop George Nkwo, Bishop of the Kumbu Diocese. Now, we stay within the Catholic Church to say that Bishop Paul Lonsi, who is Bishop of the Bafoussam Diocese, on his part has condemned the outing of Cameroon's Territorial Administration Minister Paula Tanganji, describing it as hypocritical. This follows the frequent use of biblical verses by the minister when addressing the people in Cameroon. In his most recent outing, the minister accused religious and traditional leaders of getting involved in politics, which, according to him, is not their responsibility. We have details with Mala Glory.
The Bishop of the Bafoussam Diocese, His Grace Paul Lonsi Kene, during his homily at the Saint Francois Xavier Parish of Kopcho, Bafoussam 2 subdivision, Mifi division in the West region of Cameroon, reacted to the recent outing of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, in which he openly accused some traditional rulers and religious leaders for going beyond their expected responsibilities, as it was noticed during their different actions of awakening the minds of people. To the minister, it rather incite tensions during the presidential elections in Cameroon. During the mass, the bishop said, if calling on the people to get registered, vote and control their votes poses a problem, then there is no need to vote. Is there anything bad in calling people to vote? He questioned. Now we are told only to talk about the word of God. The bishop highlighted. Paul Lonti insisted on following Christ by respecting one of the missions of the gospel, which is that of awakening conscience. Adding that the social teachings of the church calls on bishops to instill morals in the people and to advise Christians that if one is interested in politics, let them do it in the Christian way. Paul Lonti reveals that there has always been people trying to manipulate public opinion by preaching controversial messages while wrongly quoting Bible verses.
Lors de la tentation de Jésus au désert, des versets bibliques.
The devil also presented Jesus with a challenge involving the controversial misapplication of Holy Word. The bishop said, so the wrong use of the Bible verse is not new. They use Bible verses in different instances to mislead the people. The bishop emphasized. Bishop Paul Lonti questioned why the voice of the people have been silent in such critical moments in Cameroon.
And while divergence continue to grow in Cameroon, especially on key national issues, the army is fighting hard to strengthen and reinforce the bond between the army and the nation. And now this is how it is being manifested within the context where financial hardship is an issue to Cameroonians, coupled with inadequate infrastructure, which have all contributed to difficult access to quality health care. To ease this burden, the Ministry of Defense is working hard by providing this basic health to the Cameroonian people through what they call our free consultation campaign, which is on the way at the 2nd Military Region Hospital in Bonanjo-Douala. Esiel Luciliengo covered day one and has the following report.
Cop Joseph is among those who turned out for the free consultation campaign. He says he came to be screened for prostate cancer, a disease that claimed his father's life.
I'm here today to be checked about prostate because my father was ill and he left due to prostate.
He was one of the hundreds of people who visited the 2nd Region Military Hospital in Bonanjo-Douala this morning as part of the ongoing medical outreach. The initiative, supervised by Dr. Colonel Koki Godefroy, aligns with the efforts to strengthen the bond between the army and the civilian population.
This campaign is what we call in military activité civilo-militaire, military activity near the population, and to stay in what the chief of army asked us to be, near the population.
A total of 2,500 people are expected to benefit from the free consultations, which cover multiple medical specialties and come with a 50% reduction in related services.
All of the specialties that we found in our hospital are able to be concerned because we can have cardiology, ophthalmology, oncology, surgery in all the aspects of the surgery. The laboratory are free of charge, the gynecology, pediatry, and we have dermatology too, psychology, because we have a psychiatrist, 50% free of charge. And for those who will be in the service of ophthalmology, I am the one taking the prompt here that they will be operated for free of charge.
Upon their arrival, patients are directed to different units to begin the consultation process. To ensure thorough examinations, each patient is assigned to a specialist based on the condition identified during the initial screening.
From the laboratory, we now send them to the different specialists. So from there now, they meet the specialists with their different problems. The specialists now consult them, and from there they cannot continue.
Many of those who turned out described the campaign as timely and commendable.
I'm very grateful because I have the opportunity to come and consult for my eyes because things have been difficult lately.
The 5-day campaign, which kicked off on November, runs until November 28, 2025 at the hospital.
And that's it for the first part of the news. Coming up is Talking Point. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. Once again, we're happy you're joining us on Talking Point. Welcome. Tonight, we are receiving a traditional elite, a civil society actor, and also a humanitarian. With him, we'll be analyzing the worsening security crisis in the Anglophone Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon, but also the post-electoral context in Cameroon challenged by the refusal of some parts of the opposition to accept the verdict of the Constitutional Council. Our guest tonight is Chief Dr. Joseph Mufo. Chief, thanks for accepting to be guest on Talking Point. Welcome. Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on Talking Point, the second part of news this Monday. On Talking Point today, we're receiving a civil society actor, a humanitarian, and a traditional ruler. Our guest tonight is... Yes, of course, that's Chief Dr. Joseph Mufo, as you got there. Now, we're going straight to ask him the questions we've got. At least today, as we indicated at the start of the news, 2 persons at least have been wounded in an afternoon attack at my 16, that's in Buea in the southwest region. This follows a fierce nightclub gun attack in the university town of Bambili in the northwest region, and all a series of attacks that have so far been recorded in the northwest and southwest region amid kidnappings and sometimes for ransom. And now these attacks have been increasing 9 years into. So what does this imply at a time when many thought that the situation was kind of getting better in these regions, Chief?
Years into the crisis, the killing has been persistent in the northwest and southwest region, just because of the negligence of the people in power. They have not been taking the matter very serious in order to end the situation of this killing. The killing is too much. We have just ended up with the elections, but still yet, after the swelling in, nothing has been said how to handle the crisis within the northwest and southwest region. And look at today. Today is the 24th, and yesterday was the 23rd. The killing has been persisting. So it is the government that will really look to it to see how they can end this problem within northwest and southwest region, because we are tired of crying every day.
But have you also observed that the attacks have increased? Now, Chief, you have talked about the persistence of the killing. Now, what explains the persistence in these regions?
The situation in the northwest and southwest is really sad. The kidnapping situation is nearly every day, and the killing is nearly every day. Though the elections in the 2 regions, we have accepted what they have announced, that the elections in the 2 regions was a very successful result. But why can it, in this day, that the killing and kidnapping is still persisting in the 2 regions? This is a question that it is only the regime in place that can answer this question. It's a question you and I cannot answer, because we are really confused of the situations of the northwest and southwest region.
Now, thank you, Chief. As an elite from these parts of Cameroon, you are a civil society actor, a traditional leader. How do you feel that things are continuing to get this bad 9 years into the crisis?
Yes, Mr. Fume. The truth in the whole situation is that proposals has been given by the members of government and even some of the northwest and southwesterner leaders, but those measures have not been put in place. They have given special status to Anglophones. For example, I'm here with IDPs, internally displaced persons. They have a lot of challenges in education. They have challenges in food, because that's one of the key points that troubles them here with me. Problems of education and food with medicines. But they say they have special status. When they go to hospital like Daido, like Bonamisadi, when they consult them, they see paid. They don't consult them free of charge. When they go to primary school, public primary school that they are here in Makepe Misoke, they do them. They don't give them that special status. It has been said, but it has never been put in place in order to respect what has been said. But the whole situation is that people are suffering. Let the government see to the situations of the Northwesterners and Southwesterners, internally displaced persons. They need a lot. They have a lot of challenges. But let the government at least see some of the key challenges, like education, food, medicines, in order to help them so that they can feel loved. They can feel the living together, as the head of state, Eliot said.
You are talking about the absence of a solution, but also outlining what you think that the government needs to do. Now, I'll get to you straight. If they are to provide these things you've outlined, as in giving food to internally displaced persons, giving them education in their host communities, and also giving health needs to these people, attending to the cry of those who say they've been kidnapped, ensuring their safe release, will that end the crisis?
Yes, one of the Church Catholic authority, as the Archbishop Andrew Kia have said, he's sad and he's looking at the situation that the priests that have been kidnapped, it's not only the priests. All are Christians. All Cameroonians are Christians. It's not just that the priest has been kidnapped. Before, the Archbishop will send a communication that if he has not been released, they will go to Amber camp. The idea is good, but let the government equally give him a hand support in order to set something so that these Amber guys, our brothers, because army are our brothers, those Amber guys, they are our brothers. Let the government equally set something to support the Archbishop Andrew Kia so that the priest should be released. And they should equally question those who are close to the Archbishop Andrew Kia to see how they can meet the governor of the Northwest region to send equally a communique so that the information should be respected by those who are in position with the Catholic priest.
Now, you've taken my question that had to follow on the view of the threat of the Archbishop of Bamenda, who is also the head of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon. Now, that's his message to the separatists, asking that if the kidnapped priest, that's John Berinu particularly, is not being released, the Catholic Church and its services within the areas will be closed and they're going to be marching to the camp. But now you're outlining what you think that the government needs to do at this point in time in order to respond to the worries of the bishop and also the Catholics. You have also outlined, I insist on my questions, if these things are done, do we have hopes that normalcy will return to these areas and these regions, Chief?
Mr. Fumi, that will not be a solution to the crisis. The problem is that children, you can imagine that here in the center, we have lost already 31 of them died under terrible conditions without medications. Some have suffered with the injury, with the wounds that was not cured. They have stayed in bushes. That will not end the crisis. The problem is that if this government can support this internally displaced person here in the Northwest and Southwest, here in Douala, 5 constituency, Makepe Misoke, that I am hosting 416 of them, that they have a lot of challenges. Helping to solve their challenges will not end the crisis. They should at least sit down in a round table and discuss, dialogue, really what they call dialogue. They should not neglect any part. They should not put down a dialogue, and it should be a conditional dialogue. Let the dialogue be at least an open and clear dialogue without any fear of favor, without any favoritism in it.
Now that's a proposal you're pushing forward in order to see that things will come back. Now, as an actor in these regions, I'm saying that you are a traditional elite. Do you also feel that at one point you of the civil society, you who are leading communities, have failed in either proposing or taking up actions that could see things returning to normal? I say so because most recently the president, while on his inaugural speech, indicated that he was charging political elites and traditional rulers to engage what he calls community dialogue.
Mr. Fumi, the problem of the electoral situation has already been solved, as we can see, because what has happened that the opposition's leader, Mr. Issa Churuma, that was claiming, the man have been silent, he has stayed quiet, he has recalled his conscience and see that exactly they have won in the election. We are just waiting now to see if he can at least adjust and come to have an amicable settlement with the government so that our country should be in peace.
It's very necessary.
Now, you say outlining that all this is happening within a challenging electoral post-electoral context where we have an opposition leader insisting that he won. Now, come back to my question again. Have the actors, civil society actors, political elite, and traditional rulers of these regions, to a larger extent Cameroon, have they failed?
Mr. Fumi, I have looked carefully to this situation and have given some proposals to the government to see how they can handle the crisis in order to end up with this killing and kidnapping every day. I don't know even if the head of state himself listened carefully to some of the proposals. Civil society actors like us, they propose to media so that they can handle the situation. Because you can look, after the elections, some of the citizens of the Northwest and Southwest has been kidnapped, some have been killed. Up to then, the government is looking at the situation, but they have said nothing in order to appease the situations. The killing is every day, as I can say. Look at the election that has just took place in the Northwest and Southwest. They say they massively vote for the party, the ruling party. But why is it that the killing is persisting and the ruling party cannot look at the situation and end up so that citizens of the Northwest and Southwest, I'm one of the citizens of the Northwest, we have been crying every day. We have been fighting to see how they can end up the situation of the Northwest and Southwest, but they are still talking about the Anglophone crisis. This is a question that any Northwesterner, any Southwesterner need to look carefully to it and give his or her own proposal so that they can end up the situation.
Thank you immensely, Chief Dr. Joseph Mufo. Now, before we take leave of you, Chief, what general message have you got for the Cameroonian nation, taking into consideration the post-electoral unrest, the persistent crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions, but also what is being witnessed in the far north with Boko Haram? And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch up by time there. We will be taking a leave of you now, urging you to stay in the company of interesting programs. Now, thank you immensely once again, Chief, for accepting to be with us. You guys, thanks for choosing to be informed by Equinoxe. Interesting programs continue. Check the rendezvous with us tomorrow at same time on same frequency.